College basketball and NBA, they might be turning their eyes to postseason, but Texas softball, they're just getting started. We've got a lot of analysis coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show.
Texas finally 1-0, finally riding for the brand.
And I'm getting back on my soapbox saying that if they just hit and rap and drive, then that play doesn't happen.
You heard it here first from Hunter. Book your plane tickets to Omaha today.
But we're not done yet.
No, shot. You're not
Are
serious.
you kidding me? Oh, that's the third time.
That's terrible. Did you believe this was possible at the beginning of the season?
Oh, I always believe.
Always drink the Kool-Aid.
Welcome into this 1-0 Sports Show on this lovely Friday morning. I'm Adam Ogburn, joined alongside by Manny Ramirez. Manny, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. It's so great to be a Friday. These weeks are flying by. I can't believe it's Friday again. But we got an exciting show, super great content today. So I'm excited to get right into it.
You blink and February's almost over. I mean, we got March college basketball conference tournaments coming up in like a week and a half, and then you start getting the big tournaments here in just about 2 weeks. So time is a-flying here. I guess 3 weeks maybe. I don't know. Anyway, time's a-flying here on the 40 acres, but the 1-0 Sports Show, we never change because we've always got to start off with who's hot and who's not. Manny, let's start with you. Who's hot for you this week?
So who's hot for me? It's the new look Lakers. Listen, they had a pretty good win over the New Orleans Pelicans. This was kind of like a buzzer-to-buzzer win. They really never let off the gas. D'Angelo Russell looks like he's fitting in nicely into this system. He's been in LA before, so he's used to the bright lights of the city. But now to be able to play, with superstars like LeBron and AD, this makes it a pretty good fit for him, honestly. As we can see here, he just kind of comes down the court, pop a three, bang, baby.
Yeah, that was nice.
This is something that is probably going to be able to just kind of kickstart this offense. Now, LA has a little work to do. I'm not going to lie to you. LA has a little work to do to get into the playoff picture, but if they're going to keep playing like this, I think they can make a pretty good run.
I really did like the depth that they acquired at the trade deadline because not only do D'Angelo Russell, they acquired Mo Bamba, they acquired Rui Hachimura. So they made some moves at the trade deadline, so it's not just LeBron and AD there and an injury-prone AD at that. So it'll be interesting to see what the Lakers do, but at the very least, I would expect them to get in the play-in, and I think if they get in the play-in, I feel like LeBron can will them to 2 wins, especially with the depth they've given him now. So these Lakers are going to be fun to watch here in these coming months.
Definitely.
I'm going to switch it over to the college side. How about the Northwestern Wildcats? Northwestern, they've only made the NCAA tournament once in their history, and that was 5 years ago, or 6 years ago now. But look at this. Not only, first off, this past weekend, they're going to knock off Purdue here. Bowie, their star player, 26 points in a 64-58 victory. And then another ranked opponent on Wednesday, and they do it again. Indiana looked like they're going to blow them out. Indiana comes all the way back, and then Bowie again with a clutch shot with just 2.5 seconds left to win it. Those 2 big wins, that should be enough to push Northwestern over the line. The Wildcats likely going to make the NCAA tournament for just the 2nd time in their history.
Wow. I mean, 2 big-time ranked opponents coming into your house. I mean, that place was jumping. You could see their fans were going insane. Congratulations to Northwestern. I mean, they're getting it together, definitely.
Shout out Chris Collins, the work he's doing up there in Illinois. So keep an eye on the Wildcats. The Big Ten, I think, overall is a little bit down this year, but Northwestern, I mean, they're probably going to get in there 6-7 seed. I mean, if they can knock off the #1 team in the country, you got to be wary if you're a 2 seed or a 3 seed playing them in the 2nd round. So it'll be fun to watch the Wildcats in March. Well, we've been a little bit positive. Now we got to spin it to the other side. Manny, who's not hot for you this week?
I'm going to stick with the basketball route, and I'm going to go the San Antonio Spurs. This hurts to say as a person who grew up watching the Spurs, but it is rebuild season, and it's probably going to be rebuild season for a little while. I'm not going to lie to you. They are currently on a 14-game losing skid. They are about 27 and a half games back from first place, and they're about 13 games back from their next closest opponent, which is funny enough, the Lakers. But I think that those 2 teams are going to have drastically different seasons, especially after this trade deadline. Yeah, it just hurts. It's no longer the era of Manu and Timmy and Tony. It's going to be a rebuild season for the Spurs for a while now, and I feel like teams with smaller markets, it's going to be like that, especially with the Spurs.
I think there's only one win they care about. That's going to be the lottery here in about 4 or 5 months. They want Victor Wembanyama, so they're going to have their eyes on that. I know there are a couple NBA teams that are kind of tanking for him, so it'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, probably rebuild season for the Spurs. We'll have to see how long Pop's going to stick around for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, anybody will agree, right? Popovich is one of the greatest coaches ever.
No doubt.
Ever coached.
No doubt.
But yeah, this is a rough season for the Spurs.
Well, I'm going to flip it over to baseball now for my Who's Not. There are a couple of rule changes. There's some rule changes that came out this week, and I have to say they might be all terrible. The bases are bigger, which is fine. But first of all, they outlawed the shift, which I have a massive issue with, because if you can't hit against the shift, I mean, you're getting paid to play professional baseball.
Right.
So if you're getting outs because they're in a shift, that's your fault that you can't hit to either side of the field. So that's my take on that. They've still got the runner on second rule for extra innings, which I think is incredibly dumb, because then you can just win on a single. They've got, I guess, the pitch clock is fine. They probably need that. But they're limiting pickoffs, which I think is weird. And then they also limited some of the pitching motion. So I know Luis Garcia, who does his famous Shark Bite Baby, that's going to be illegal. That's going to be a balk now. So MLB, they're just, I don't know. I don't like it. I hate the shift rule. That's my least favorite. It's the same thing with NBA guys when they have a low free throw percentage. Like, get in the gym and practice your free throws. Same thing with MLB. If you're hitting the shift every time, then learn how to hit the other side of the field. You're getting paid money. That's all you're doing for a living.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's my take. I didn't love the MLB rule changes, especially not the shift.
No, I completely agree with you. This is something that, I mean, obviously, everybody's talking about how MLB has, or at least baseball in general, has taken kind of a backseat to the more, I guess you could say, exciting, action-filled sports. And this just feels like they're just slowing the game down more. I get the base change, maybe like that equals more runners on base.
Yeah.
And that gives you maybe more opportunities to score. But, I mean, pitch clocks and I mean, these pitchers probably have had this motion for their entire careers, to be completely honest with you. And now you're going to tell them to completely change it. This is going to cause some problems.
They're trying to speed up the game. It's almost like at what cost? And then the shift is trying to get more offense in. But I just think you need to learn how to hit the baseball. It's limiting teams' defenses strategies, and I don't love it. So anyway, that's my take on the new MLB rules. We'll see how they play out in actuality. Now let's move on to what's trending. It's been a couple days. We've kind of settled down in America, but it's time. We've got to talk about the Super Bowl, since that happened between the last one show and this one. Man, it was a heck of a game. Came down to the very end. Chiefs winning on that last second field goal. Do you think this is a Super Bowl to be remembered for the ages?
Oh, man. Honestly, it was a great game. Don't get me wrong, but it will always be tainted by the last, holding call at the very end. People are going to talk about that more than the game in its actual self. There were problems with the field. I mean, it was just, it was a very good Super Bowl, especially because, they had that back and forth for the entire game. It wasn't necessarily like a blowout from one side or another. I will say, though, I would say it's probably going to be remembered because Rihanna did her thing.
Yeah.
She absolutely killed it.
No, she was great.
And she was wonderful. But, yeah, that flag at the end and then kind of just a little chip shot field goal to win the game, that's going to probably taint it. So I don't know if remembered for the ages, but a good one nonetheless.
I think that's a good take. I think it was a really good Super Bowl. It's a tough way to end it. Yeah, you bring out the field. That's a great point. That field was terrible for a Super Bowl field. I mean, there were guys slipping all over. Jake Elliott slipped on a kickoff, and it looked like he almost did damage to his ankle. He was lucky to walk away unscathed from that. But just a heck of a final couple of drives, too. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs go touchdown on a 75-yard drive. Eagles punt it back. Chiefs go touchdown with that big, I think it was the longest punt return in NFL history that got them down the red zone. Then the Eagles go right back, go 75-yard score again, and the Chiefs, it looked like they were going to kick that field goal on fourth down that was going to set up for another Eagles drive. But unfortunately, that holding call, I think it does slightly taint it. Is it the right call? Maybe. It's probably a holding by letter of the law, but they hadn't really been calling ticky-tacky holds.
Yeah.
There was another one I saw early in the game. I can't remember if it was first half or second half. It was Juju Smith-Schuster was kind of running that hitch across the middle on third down. And there was kind of a similar kind of tug, kind of some contact there. They didn't call it. So just kind of interesting that you call it a ticky-tack foul with the game on the line.
Right, yeah.
And Juju wasn't catching that ball. I don't think if he was held or not. Mahomes overthrew it by a pretty good amount. But definitely a really good Super Bowl. I think all the fans probably enjoyed it, but probably left with a little bit of a bitter taste in their mouth with the way it ended due to that controversial holding call. Talking about controversy, there was plenty of Texas softball this week out in Clearwater, Florida. So if you're not aware, NCAA softball sometimes, especially in non-conference play, teams will agree to a drop-dead time, which helps teams keep their travel plans. So basically, if the inning's not done by, let's say, 3 o'clock, then they'll just revert to the score at the previous complete inning. So if you're in the top of the 7th at 3 o'clock, they'll say, all right, we'll go to the score at the end of the 6th, and that'll be the final score. Well, Texas had that going on against Kentucky. They went to extra innings, so they were in the 8th inning. Kentucky scores 3 runs in the top of the 8th, and then the delays begin. We've got a lovely 45-second compilation. This is Kentucky scoring, and the rest of the video is just Texas stalling. But anyway, we see mound visits. We see Mike White leaving the mound, only to come back out and then make a pitcher's change. We see pinch runners in the bottom of the 8th inning for the runner on first and the runner on second. We see batters stepping out of the box. Kentucky had to end the 8th inning by leaving the third base early just to get to the bottom of the 8th to try to meet the time. So a lot of gamesmanship here by Texas. Manny, I just explained a whole lot. Do you think this was just Mike White taking advantage of the rules, or was this almost more kind of on the unethical side of things?
I think it's just taking advantage of the rules. I mean, right, we say a win's a win, right? And so if, obviously you take those 3 and you just kind of negate them. But, I mean, this it's not going to make people happy, but it's a little gamesmanship. It's there because for a reason, and if he's smart enough to say, you know what, let's go ahead and just keep this game stalling, then, good on him, good on his staff. But yeah, no, it's not going to make anybody happy.
Yeah, I didn't love the move just because it's non-conference play, and I think when people look back on this, I think it would have looked. It just looks worse than I think if they would have just lost 7-4, just because of how over the top it was. If they made one pitching change, maybe like slowed down a little bit, but this was 4 or 5 delays where it was just kind of getting ridiculous. And the game ended, by the way, I didn't mention this. The game ended on the drop dead time with 0-2 count and 2 outs. Mm-hmm. So I mean, you're within probably a minute of finishing the game. So yes, he's taking advantage of the rules, but kind of like the Super Bowl, it just leaves a really bitter taste in your mouth. And I think it almost reflects worse on him and the program than if they would have just said, hey, we lost 7-4, because everyone's looking at that as a 7-4 loss, and now you just have all the questions on the ethical side of it on top of it. So I didn't love it, but the Texas softball team is talented, and they're going to be fun to watch this year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's from softball to basketball. Softball is just getting started, but basketball, they're on the downward stretch. And let's take a look. We've got a full screen graphic here. The Big 12 title race is tight. Texas, Kansas, Baylor tied to top the Big 12 conference at 9-4. Manny, you see the remaining schedules. You see a lot of orange-ranked numbers. That's a sign of how good the Big 12 is. Yeah. I mean, whose conference is this to win, you think?
This is really difficult. Obviously, you see Baylor's got the most ranked opponents. Mm-hmm. Baylor and Texas.
Texas, yeah, each with 4.
The most ranked opponents. But I think just for the reason that we've seen over the season so far is that Texas makes really great adjustments in the second half or halftime to really come out the second half and play just a completely different brand of basketball, to be completely honest with you. Marcus Carr is really finding himself as a scorer and as a facilitator. And Timmy's going to be Timmy, to be completely honest with you, and he's going to be a force. Yeah. He's going to be a force down low. So I think if Texas can make enough plays, I think this is Texas' chance to win the Big 12.
The only thing that makes me nervous about Texas is that 2-game stretch at Baylor at TCU, because I think Baylor's got a pretty hard schedule because they got to go at Kansas and at Kansas State, and then they got to come here to Austin, and they got to, they host us in Waco, and they also host Iowa State in Waco. I think that's a pretty tough draw at the 2 Kansas schools. I think Baylor probably fade a little bit. I think Kansas has a really, really favorable schedule. I think what Texas might end up coming into is a game here at Moody Center in that final game where they're down a game to Kansas, and if they win, they get a share. So that's kind of where I see the most likely thing. I think it's going to be hard for Texas to run the table over the next 4 games, just going at Baylor and at TCU. I think it's going to be hard to win those back-to-back. Kansas, TCU's been on a little bit of a downward slope, so I think Kansas has a little bit more favorable schedule, especially because they get Baylor at home, and then West Virginia and Tech should be 2 teams they're beating up at Allen Fieldhouse. So I think the situation, when we get down into things, I think it's going to be Kansas up a game, but Texas has a chance to take a share. With that huge game at Moody Center, that's going to be an electric game for sure.
Oh yeah, if you are on campus, you got to go to that game definitely. But one thing that we've always talked about is the Big 12 is easily the toughest division to play college basketball in.
Yeah.
Any team can be any team. I know we say this a lot, but legitimately in this conference, I would not be surprised if, like you said, if Tech ended up beating Kansas or something like that. These are really good teams. So, like you said, Kansas has that more favorable schedule.
Yeah.
But if it comes down to that last game, the Moody Center is going to be rocking.
Definitely home field advantage for sure for Austin. Texas, the Corral has made that certain point. Well, that's going to do it for our first block. But when we come back, Michael Alvarez is going to join the panel for his 1-0 debut. He's going to help us have some fun and break down the highlights of the week. You won't want to miss it. You're watching the 1-0 Sports Show.
Cold morning. I hate the cold. I kind of want some pancakes. There we go. I keep talking and keep saying stuff. I'm out of things to say.
What's your favorite joke?
I don't have a favorite joke. I kind of just come up with things on the spot.
For
but,
sure.
you know, we're doing it. We're having fun. It's a tight squeeze, but, you know, it's fun.
Favorite basketball team?
The Lakers.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to talk a little louder now. I'll raise my voice. It's, I guess quiet's not good. I think we'll be all right if I raise it like this. I don't know. It's their call.
Favorite football team?
For some reason, it's the Raiders.
Okay.
Raiders.
Crazy.
You'll be ready for a C block.
I'll be ready. I'll be ready. I'll be ready for that one. That one's going to be funny.
Let's go. That's all. I didn't know you were a Raiders fan. That's awesome. We got you talking that.
Random Raiders fan.
Is it good?
I'm going to keep going.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know. It should be on. It's on. I don't know.
Do you want me to move it like on his like?
Well, I can just.
lapel thing.
He's good?
Okay. There we go.
Mike Test 1 2 1 2. Favorite football team, Dallas Cowboys. Favorite basketball team.
Welcome back into the 1-0 Sports Show. Michael Alvarez joined the panel. Michael, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here. It's a little bit of a cold morning, but
Yeah.
I think we'll get through it because we got the heater on in here.
Defending Crossfire champ, too, making his 1-0 debut. So catch him on Crossfire next week at 9 o'clock. So we'll see if he can go back-to-back. But we're going to test out his highlight judgment skills here with our Versus segment. Me and Manny bringing some highlights of the week. And Michael's going to tell us which one he thinks best fits the category. So let's get rolling, Manny, right into it with our best men's college basketball play of the week. What are you bringing to the table today?
So I am bringing to the table, this was a huge game in football, and it was surprisingly a huge game in basketball. So I have Tennessee going against Alabama, two ranked opponents. It was in Tennessee, and look at this alley-oop, just reaches back for it and gets up top, going top shelf.
top.
This was disgusting. Beautiful play, and Tennessee ended up knocking off Alabama in this one. Really good game, wire to wire. But congratulations to Tennessee on that win.
Alabama sports fans are spoiled.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got a good Tennessee highlight in there because mine is a bad Tennessee highlight. We got a little Missouri action. This one went down last week, and the Tigers down by 2 on the final inbound. DeAndre Golson going the length of the floor. He's just going to throw it up, and it goes. Tennessee, it's their second straight loss on a buzzer beater. They lost to Vanderbilt last week in the midweek on a buzzer beater. Missouri does it again. Golson got this off with plenty of time. He got this off with over a second to go. I was watching this live. I thought it had no chance of going in. But he buries it and buries Tennessee to defeat. So, Michael, we got a good Tennessee, we got a bad Tennessee. Which one was the better play of the week?
Well, I might have bias because I'm not a huge Tennessee fan, and I also love buzzer beaters. I'm probably going to have to go with the buzzer beater just because it's a bigger moment. I mean, the dunk's cool, dunking's fun, but that's mid-game dunk. A buzzer beater to beat him, knock him off. I got to take the buzzer beater.
Okay, we got some buzzer beater love. Yeah. I think he's going to like our next two highlights.
He's gonna like our next two
so let's get into it. Women's college basketball play of the week. We'll start with you, Manny.
So if you like buzzer beaters, I got a buzzer beater for you.
Let's go.
It's for the game winner. It's Olivia Miles for Notre Dame. They're going against Louisville basketball. And just a fadeaway, knocks it down. Crowd goes insane. This was a pretty good game. Obviously, Notre Dame was currently ranked 10th at that point. They were in danger of getting knocked off. It was in overtime already. So to keep it calm, cool, collected, and be able to knock down that shot, pretty clutch.
For sure. I did a little bit of digging on mine, and we're going to go to the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, the MAAC. We got Siena taking on Niagara. Siena down by 1. Just seconds to go. We're going to throw up a half-court heave, and it's going to go for the win. That's freshman Elisa Mevius for Siena. Yeah, I'd be pretty fired up after that, too. The miracle buzzer beater. Here it is again. Throws it up. And it's right, nothing but net, really. Not even the bank shot. Heck of a half-court buzzer beater to win it. So we've got a nice little fadeaway. We've got a half-court prayer. Michael, what's taking it?
I love half-court prayers, but at the same time, the sidestep fadeaway it's a tough shot. It's a skill shot. I might have to take the fadeaway just because it's also a bigger moment. The crowd went crazy. Everyone's not the storm, but the team came onto the court screaming, cheering. I got to go with the fadeaway.
There we go.
Very nice. 1-1.
Yeah, let's go. We've got some college action now onto the NBA. Manny, what do you have for your best NBA play of the week?
So best NBA player of the week, it is Zach LaVine's dunk on the Nets. Now, the reason why I chose this, it was a lot of great plays, but the reason why I chose this was the skill that went into this was absolutely insane. You'll see the clip right here. Zach LaVine comes down, gets the ball, all right, facilitate the offense, and then cross, hezzy, and then the explosion, the dunk. That was just beautiful. Like I said, I mean, he hit the cross, and then the hezzy to go up, to send him up, and then to be able to explode and dunk. Zach LaVine's probably got one of the best hops in the NBA.
That cross was nasty. Oh, man.
The hezzy drop. Ooh.
Right? Yeah.
Talking about some nasty crosses, I've got Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs. We already said the Spurs are who's not. I think Jeremy Sochan is really who's not. Look at this, trying to guard. And Donovan Mitchell sends him for a ride.
Oh, he dropped.
Yeah, he sent him out. He sent him out to the concession stand. I think we've got a replay on this one. Here he goes. Sochan, see ya. That's tough. Yeah. Sochan's not going to want to see that highlight again.
No, he is not.
So we've got some murder on the basketball court, really, for both highlights. So Michael, which one was nastier?
Zach LaVine. I mean, he had the drop, the hezzy. Ooh, that was a dirty hezzy, and then he showed his hops as two-time dunk champion. But dropping somebody in a step back and hitting the three, that's kind of hard to beat. It's hard to beat a drop. I gotta go with the crossover by Donovan Mitchell.
Fair.
Well,
that's
Donovan
fair.
Mitchell.
That's definitely fair. However, I would argue should only be a one-time dunk champion. I feel like Aaron Gordon.
Aaron Gordon.
I feel like Aaron Gordon was robbed of that title, but you know what? That's a different segment. We'll talk about it a different day.
We're talking about the dunk contest coming up,
Yes,
so stay tuned. We've had a lot of good highlights, right? I think it's time. It's time for the blooper of the week. Manny, let's start with you.
So I'm actually going to go tennis. We don't talk about tennis a lot, but I'm going to go tennis. And I'm going to go Alexander Bublik, who smashes his rackets. It was a rough match for him. Here we go. Right, frustration.
Over and over.
Over and over, right? Okay, cool. Well, he's got it out. He's got it out of his system. We're done, right? Like no.
Poor
No
racket.
way we got any more. Oh no.
Oh, no.
Not the second one.
Oh, come
please.
on.
Okay, but you're done, right? Like,
Yeah, he's
you're
coming.
done. Not a third. Oh my goodness. Please don't do a fourth. Please don't do a fourth.
At this point, you might as well kill them all.
Yeah.
So, hey, why not?
Okay, we're
All
gonna play
right,
tennis.
all
Great.
right.
I like how, you can see in his bag. There's like 7 of them, and he's like, I'm gonna have to smash about 4.
He better have a good sponsorship deal.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm saying, man, because that's a lot of rackets to destroy.
Yeah.
All right, this was a heck of a story. We're gonna go down. We got some SWAC basketball action. Missouri Valley State, Alabama A&M. Let's roll the clip. So watch this cheerleader. She's circled in red right there. She's gonna do a little stunt, right?
Okay.
But Alabama A&M's Dalen Smith, it kind of gets in the way a little bit. Cheerleader doesn't like it, so she's gonna go have some words with him. She kind of walks out. She walks down the court, goes and confronts him, give him a little shove, and security. Security doesn't like that. They said, oh no, we're not doing that. Cheerleader gets ejected from the game. A little bit tough, and then even worse for Missouri Valley State. She walked on the court and confronted the player. That's why she got ejected. Even worse for Missouri Valley State, they go on to lose this game on a buzzer beater. So a little bit of a rough game all around. So. Michael, what you got? What's the worst blooper of the week?
I've never seen a cheerleader being ejected. I've never seen someone tech her up. I don't know, do something, get her off the court. I mean, she had a valid reason though. She's doing her stuff. He's doing his stuff. He got her way. But the killing, I understand maybe breaking your first racket, right? Out of frustration. But let me walk to the side and break another one.
Yeah.
And then another, and then another. So I got to go with the tennis one just because it was just too funny.
That was some real rage. Normally after your first, you still have to walk to go get your other ones. You should have been like,
That's usually like the calm down walk. Yeah.
And we still
wasn't
smashed 2
having
more.
it at all.
Dang, man.
I got to go with the tennis rackets.
Yeah, man.
Well, sweet. We're 2 apiece.
Yes,
So let's end it. We've got the best miscellaneous sports play of the week. So we could choose any sport that we have not covered yet in this highlight segment. So Manny, what sport did you go for? What's your highlight you've got
So
for us?
I'm going to throw it to the ice. I'm going to go
let's
hockey for this one. So I'm going to go Brent Burns for the Hurricanes. Putting on the move, some savvy veteran. Look at that. Get out of there. Some just beautiful stick work on that one, honestly. You dip right, you come left, then you did right again, and then left again, and then laid it off to his teammate to get a little rebound goal. That's going to be my miscellaneous sports play of the week.
I'm going to go for some softball. We've got some two Texas teams going now. We got Tarleton State and Prairie View A&M. Absolute barn burner in this one. I think Tarleton's up by 10-0 by the time this highlight starts. But look at this double play skill. So we got diving across the middle, and then look at the splits here at first base to complete the double play. We got Morgan Medford making the diving, grabbing the Mackenzie Peterson, showing off her athleticism. Here's one more look at it, just a great dive, but even the splits. Oh man, look at that athleticism at first base. So. What do you like, Michael? Do you got softball? Do you got hockey? Who's taking home the prize?
Two sports I don't usually watch, and two sports I could not play at all. Do not know how to skate. When it comes to hockey, if I want to watch any type of hockey, it's them fighting. That's my favorite. It's them going hands and doing something. And on the other side, I grew up watching softball because my sister played. And the splits, the double play, first of all, is already impressive. And then to reach out, to get the out, and literally do splits, something I could never probably do ever.
Nope.
No flexibility at all. But I'm going to have to go with the softball one.
Yeah.
That was just very impressive.
Yeah, that was very, very impressive. Just the way she full committed it.
Yeah.
Just went all the way low, snagged. The concentration also to not only split, but also to bring in the ball as well. Yeah, that's a different level.
Shout out Tarleton softball, man. So big, making some big moves on the big stage. Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. But don't worry, he's not going anywhere. He's going to be back. We've got some BS or Real Talk coming up. We've got some predictions coming up for the rest of the year. We've got basketball, football, and soccer all represented. You won't want to miss it coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show. Welcome back into the 1-0 Sports Show. It's time for some BS or real talk, and we've got some predictions on the line we're all going to make. So, guys, let's jump right into it. Let's start. March Madness only about a month away, but the defending national runner-up, they're in danger of not even making the tournament. So the statement is, North Carolina will miss the tournament. Is this BS or real talk? Manny, let's start with you.
I'm going to go BS just because the name itself, I think, carries a lot of weight in terms of, selecting who makes it into the tournament and who doesn't. I don't see a world where North Carolina doesn't make the NCAA March Madness tournament. I just can't see it. It's been a little bit of a rough season. They started off the season winning 5, and then they lost 4. So it's kind of been a back and forth throughout the entire year. But I think just because of their name is the reason why I would throw them into the tournament.
Yeah, and just the experience, too. I'm going to agree with you. I think that statement's BS. I think they're going to sneak their way in. I mean, they have Caleb Love, Armando Beckett, R.J. Davis. They're all back from last year. They have some interesting games down the stretch. They play ranked NC State, they play ranked Virginia, and they play Duke. So, but they knocked off NC State earlier this year. So if you can just win 1 or 2 of those big games, then get a couple games, win a game or 2 in the ACC tournament, I think they'll be good. But it's not going to be pretty. I think they're going to be probably a 9 to 11 seed on the range. But hey, they went to the national championship as an 8 seed last year. So I'd say don't count the Tar Heels out. But just because of the returning talent they have, I think they'll find a way to sneak in. Definitely. Michael, what about you?
I think it's bad that we have to have the conversation anyway. I mean, they're defending runner-up. They were 20 minutes away in a blown second half lead from winning the whole thing last year. And I mean, they started off slow. They're 10-6 right now. They got a 5-game stretch with one of those teams being Arizona. I think on the road, maybe at home. I don't know. And they finished off with Duke, obviously a rivalry game, even though Duke's not having too much of a hot year either. But I think what you're saying, they just win. They win one of those big games. Yeah. And they beat the team. They beat the teams they need to beat. I mean, with the big name that Manny mentioned, I think they should get in.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the Tar Heels will fare. Now it's from college basketball to the NBA. One of the hottest teams, or the flashy teams, I should say, the trade deadline, were the Phoenix Suns going out and acquiring Kevin Durant. Will this help Chris Paul win an NBA championship before he retires? Is that BS or real talk? Michael, let's start with you. Does CP3 get a ring?
I mean, look at the situation. They're basically the 2017-2018 Warriors. They added Kevin Durant already with 3 All-Stars. They're already mid-season. They're a top 5 seed, I'm pretty sure. I mean, if he can't win a ring with the talent he has around him, then we have to talk about the problem maybe he might be.
Right.
I mean, since he's been in Phoenix, he's been to the finals. He lost that. Yeah. They've been in the playoffs. Lost a heartbreaker last year in a Game 7, not even close. Luka is
that was embarrassing.
Luka's father. But I think with what he has right now, this is the best year. This is their best chance this year for him to get a ring, and I think they'll do it.
I'm going to say BS. I just think the NBA is too crowded, and what worries me about the Suns is with guys like KD and even CP3, I'm just worried about durability down the stretch because it's going to take probably 6 or 7 games to win any of these series. And you just wonder, an injury at the wrong time could really derail them, especially when you have teams like the Nuggets, like the Clippers, I know the Warriors have been struggling, but you can never count Steph. Right. You've got the Grizzlies, up-and-comers, and then you look across the East. The East is not as loaded, but it's going to be tough to knock off either the Celtics or the Bucks in the final. I just feel like he's going to come up just short again. I'm just worried about durability, and that's why I'm going to say BS. I don't think he gets that ring.
Yeah, I'm going to go real talk, and just really for the points that you mentioned, Michael, is just because if he can't do it this time, right, where you have one of probably the greatest pure scorers to ever play the game in Kevin Durant, and you really have somebody who can take over a game in Devin Booker. If you can't do it now, he's never going to do it. But just because of the pure talent that I think that they have on this roster, I got to give it to him. It just makes sense to be able to count him in for a ring. But like Michael said, if he can't do it, then I think we got to stop thinking about, what's the team around him, and let's start talking about the actual player.
I will say, as a Houston native, he should have won one with the Rockets when he hurt that hamstring. I think they were going to knock off the Warriors in that series.
I do agree with that.
But it's going to be fun to watch the Suns in the playoffs. It'll be interesting if KD can help take them over the top. This next one, Michael's very passionate about this, so we're going to start with him. Derek Carr, he's now a free agent. The Raiders released him. Will he win a playoff game before the Las Vegas Raiders? BS or real talk? Michael, let's start with you.
Absolute BS. That is nonsense. And there's reasons why. I mean, Derek Carr, he's a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He makes timely mistakes in big games. He underperforms in big games. And I mean, I know last year they somehow squeezed into the playoffs, and this year it was just a total. I don't know how to describe the season, especially Davante Adams. But I mean, with his being released, he's either going to like Indianapolis or like Carolina, two already also awful teams. He's going to be put in another bad situation, and I don't know how long he lasts there. And then on the Raiders side, you got McDaniel. He's just I don't know why we still have him. He just was not good this year. You have Davante Adams. You have arguably top 3 receiver, and then arguably top 3 running back.
Yeah.
You have Jones, and you have Crosby coming off the edge on the defense. Secondary needs a little bit of work. But I think the Raiders have to win a playoff game for Derek Carr does, especially the situation he'll probably go into.
Yeah, I think Josh Jacobs actually led the league in rushing, I want to say. I was looking at the NFL trivia that week, going through the stats, and I remember coming across that. I was like, dang.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's BS. I think another thing, too, could the Raiders get Aaron Rodgers, you think? Maybe come back to Davante Adams?
That's also a possibility.
But and I think with the thing, I think Derek Carr can get to the playoffs, especially if he goes to the Saints or the Panthers, just because the NFC is a wasteland, right? Or NFC South, I'm sorry, is a wasteland. Because the Bucs only have Kyle Trask. You got the Falcons. Sorry, Goose, they haven't done anything since the Super Bowl. And you got the Panthers and the Saints. So I think you see Derek Carr. If he goes to the Saints, I think they'll be a playoff team. But can they win a playoff game? Can they beat the best wild card team in the NFC? Like a Cowboys or an Eagles? Because the NFC East might have it again, honestly, as next year. I don't think that's the case. I think the Raiders end up winning one before Derek Carr. Derek Carr might get to the playoffs before them, especially if they don't get Aaron Rodgers. But I don't know if Derek Carr goes out and wins a playoff game with one of those NFC South teams. Manny, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna say BS just because the way that I see it shaking out is just. If the Raiders aren't able to get Aaron Rodgers, I think that's the biggest free agent currently that everybody's trying to get at. You also have a quarterback, like Jimmy G, who can really come in and manage a game. San Francisco said, we're not keeping him. He will not be on the team next year. So that could be another possible, landing spot, or a free agent that Raiders can go for. But the only thing that I will say, the only thing that just kind of sticks in my mind a little bit, we talk about the South, right? With with the Bucs and those teams.
Yeah.
If he goes to the Bucs, that's not going to be that bad of a situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some really good players who, they played around Tom Brady. They know what it's like to win a Super Bowl. So that's the only thing that I think about in my mind. But I'm still going to go BS. I think the Raiders pick up a win before Derek Carr does.
Jimmy G's a great point because we saw the success he had with McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. And Josh Jacobs is no McCaffrey, but he's a top running back in the NFL. Davante Adams is probably a little bit better than Deebo Samuel, so he would have the skill talent again. That would be definitely interesting to see. Now let's finish this up. Manny, you're an expert on this topic. I know you've been interning with the Strikers, so we're going to start with you. Will Austin FC will win the Western Conference this year? They came so close last year. Is that BS or real talk?
So first off, shout out to the Striker. It has been such an amazing experience. But I'm gonna say real talk, and this is why. They just signed Sebastian Drusi, an Argentinian midfielder who just came into the league last year and was an MVP finalist. He put up 22 goals throughout the entire season. He was on fire. Austin FC has an amazing fan base. I went to a preseason game and it was closed to fans, and there were still fans on a hill that could see the game, and they brought their drums and instruments and everything. Obviously, you have to talk about LAFC, one of the toughest and probably most stacked squads in the MLS. But I think, with the parts that they're surrounding, as well as they also started signing some veteran players to kind of give this young squad a little more experience. I think Austin FC does just enough and puts up even a bigger fight and is able to win the Western Conference.
I think they're going to be right in the mix, but I'm just going to go BS again just because of just the sheer talent these LA teams have. The talent, almost the money, because they just have – it's a bigger market, so they can lure players a little bit more. Because you look at LAFC, which has Carlos Vela, US International, Aaron Long, Jose Cifuentes had a great year for them last year. last year. LA Galaxy sells Chicharito. They just signed Douglas Luiz, who's a star in the Champions League for several years with Shakhtar Donetsk and then I believe Bayern Munich. So I just think the star talent is going to be a little bit too much. But I think Austin FC is going to be top 3 or 4 team again in the West. I think they'll be in the contention to maybe go all the way in the playoffs if they get hot at the right time. But I just think over the course of the year, just the sheer talent and just really the sheer kind of infrastructure these LA teams have, I think they'll probably just nip Austin FC at the top again. Especially because Austin FC, they're only a third-year club. They're still kind of building up. And so I think probably still need maybe another year. But, I mean, the Drusi signing is a big deal to extend his deal. And I think Austin FC, they'll be a playoff team for sure this year. And, you get hot at the right time in the playoffs, you can go all the way. So it'll be fun to watch, I think, down the stretch. What do you think, Michael?
I gotta go BS too. I love a good underdog story. They are a young team, but just like as Adam was saying, those LA teams, the money, the market, the talent, it's just too much for a young team like Austin FC is. But I think like what he was saying, they can finish off as like a 2, 3, 4 seed, and they can make a push at the right time in the playoffs. But I mean, I just don't know if they can win it just because. They finished second last year. They were 5 games behind.
Yeah.
And I just don't know if they can overcome that hump right there. But I think they'll definitely make some noise in the playoffs.
That's the beautiful thing. I believe MLS is single elimination now in the playoffs. So, you get out at the right time or you defend really well and you nip a goal late on, you get through. So I think Austin FC, they're going to be fun to watch in the playoffs this year. Well, Michael, thank you for joining us. He will be back to do some guest pick'ems at the end of the show. But when we come back, we've got Katie Borchetta, the Daily Texan softball reporter. She's going to join us to break down the Longhorns, their start to this season, and see how far she thinks they can go. Can they get back to Oklahoma City? We'll see what Katie has to say when we come back on the 1-0 Sports Show. Welcome back on to the 1-0 Sports Show. Daily Texan softball reporter Katie Borchetta joining the show. Katie, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Doing good. Glad to be a Friday. We've got some softball action going on over here this weekend, so it's going to be fun to watch. But before we get into this season, first of all, heck of a run by the softball team last year. They won that memorable run all the way to the finals. Katie, can you kind of fill us in what key additions and departures the softball team had this past offseason?
Yeah. So I feel like Jefferson obviously is a really notable departure that we got going on. She's not professional. Had one of the biggest, I think, just the biggest asset to the team that we've ever really seen. Big power player. Had the all-time hit leader for Texas. One of the highest batting averages we've ever seen with .431 for her Texas career. And I don't know, I think the team's talked a lot about missing her and stuff like that. And then obviously, I cannot say it, Mary
Iacopo?
There you go.
There you go.
I swear I've been looking at it forever.
Yeah.
But, she was obviously, All-American honors at both Texas and Oregon, where she both played. So I think she's really, really important. And then for arrivals, both freshmen, I think Leighton Good and Vivian Martinez have played amazing games just from what we've seen alone, the Clearwater Invitational. They both killed it. Vivian Martinez is such a strong, I think, and consistent when she's hitting and stuff like that. So yeah.
431 batting average is insane.
That is
Yes.
That's
so
crazy. So yeah, definitely Janae Jefferson. She's going down in the Texas history books.
Definitely. Texas has played 4 Power 5 opponents in the last week. What was your biggest takeaway from that leadoff classic in Florida?
The only thing I feel like I have to say about that is it's not over. I feel like a lot of people think that last year was maybe a fluke, or we shouldn't have gone as far as we did. And now losing those big players that I had mentioned earlier, we shouldn't be as good. But it just shows, I think, that there is a team there is chemistry, and it's just gonna get us to go as far, maybe even further than we can. You know what I mean? So.
Manny and I were talking about this earlier in the show. I believe it was their last game down in Clearwater. Had a bit of an interesting ending with the whole drop-dead time controversy against Kentucky. Kind of, what was your take on that? I mean, was Mike White, was he smart? Was he, just using the rules to his advantage, or was it something that kind of left you with a bitter taste in your mouth? What was your kind of take on it?
I thought it was. I've never seen that before. I didn't. Yeah, I was figuring out what was going on during.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting for sure. It was very, I think it was smart on his part. Do I think it's completely ethical? I feel I don't know if I can answer that. But it definitely did leave the bitter taste in my mouth. I'm like, I just want to watch the game, not, Mike White run out and change the pitchers again or something. So, but it was interesting for sure. But I do think there was some strategy there for sure.
Definitely strategical, man. He was figuring every way he could make an adjustment. Pitch runners. Yeah, I didn't even mention the eye drops earlier. Showing the batter stepping out of the batter's box to get eye drops. So I will give credit to Mike White. That he found every way to stall a softball game. So
what's that signal, right? Do you hey?
Yeah. It's are your eyes feeling dry?
I'll send out that suggestion to you.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and name a player or two that you think will really be a leader on the Longhorns, and one that fans should be really become more familiar with as the season starts?
Okay. Well, I feel like our fans should know all of the softball players.
Let's go.
Women's softball. But then also Alyssa Washington, obviously. I think she was really prominent, obviously, last season. And now that, again, those people we talked about earlier kind of stepped away, I think it's her time to kind of step up and lead the team a little bit more. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And then also sophomore Mia Scott, I think, is really, really great. And I think she will lead the team so much. She's on the top, the little watch list.
Yeah.
National Collegiate Player of the Year. So that's really, really cool. She's the only Texas player on it. So I was
let's go.
I think she definitely has the power to lead and stuff like that. She has a really good mindset. I think they got it with them. So, and fans should definitely keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, so it was really cool to see how Texas fans rallied around the softball team as they made that run up in Oklahoma City last year, and so you hope that continues into this year. So we talked about a couple of the star players, but Katie, who's the Texas player that you think is kind of a breakout season this year that fans will kind of get to see kind of grow before their eyes?
Yeah, breakout season. I mean, I still am going back to the freshman that we talked about earlier for sure. I really, really enjoyed watching Martinez play. With that strong hitter. I really also enjoy Mac Morgan. She's a transfer student. She's really cool, really good pitcher. And during her first tournament with us, she only, like in the first day at least, she only gave up 1 run. So I was like, can't really ask for a much better game than that. So.
Shout out the transfer portal.
Right?
Yeah.
Seems like every Texas team is making some crazy moves in the transfer portal, right?
You got to take advantage of it, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Everybody wants to come to Austin, man. What do you say we can learn about the Longhorns in the Texas Classic coming up this weekend?
Can we learn about them? Probably just how they're going to play, I think, at home, with the fans. So fans need to come support. But yeah, just kind of, I guess, how they are in their like home atmosphere and stuff like that, how they work together there. I think that's really, really prominent. So yeah.
It's a busy weekend. I think 5 games in 3 days.
Yeah, there are. First one's today at 3.
There you go. Is that Nebraska, Omaha?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know they're here this weekend, so it should be interesting. So, but yeah, definitely be fun to see how the home crowd comes out and supports them. And then final question, we always do this with all the Daily Texan reporters, and they always love us for this. What are your expectations for the softball team this year, and can you make a prediction for how far you think they'll go in the tournament?
I mean, I don't want to make any prediction. They're winning.
Hey, let's go.
I feel like you have to put that into the atmosphere that they're going to, and you have to have that mindset. So yeah, that's all I can say about that.
What's going to be the keys for them, you think, going all the way?
The key? I guess just keep putting in those eye drops or something.
Let's go. Yeah, got to protect against dry eyes. You got to see the ball out of the pitcher's mitt. So, well, awesome. Well, Katie, thank you so much for joining us today. Are you out at McCombs Field this weekend?
I am. I'll be there at 3. So,
there you go.
Yeah.
She's got a busy weekend ahead of her, so we're going to let her get prepared for that. Make sure she gets her eye drops in before she does all her riding. But, Katie, thank you for joining us this morning.
Appreciate it.
When we come back, we're going to wrap up the 1-0 Sports Show. We're going to pick the best games of the week. And we're talking a little bit NBA All-Star Weekend as well. Michael's rejoining the panel, so you definitely won't want to miss it. You're watching the 1-0 Sports Show. Welcome back to the 1-0 Sports Show. Michael has rejoined the panel, and it's time to go through some of the top games of the week. We've got some men's basketball, we got some NBA All-Star game, and we got to pick the 2 Texas basketball games. So let's jump right in. We got a Big Ten showdown tomorrow as Illinois travels to take on number 14 Indiana. Manny, who do you have in that one?
We're going to take Indiana, ranked and at home. I think this is a favorable matchup for them. Give me Indiana to win this.
Great pick. Hoosiers, they're going to want to bounce back from that upset loss to Northwestern. They take this one home. Michael, what do you think?
I got clean sweep across the board. I got Indiana too, ranked team at home. They're going to want to bounce back after a tough loss against a hot Northwestern team. I got Indiana.
Now this one's interesting. Big 12, Texas Tech taking on West Virginia. They're having to go up to Morgantown. Michael, who do you think?
Texas Tech is very hot right now. Three wins in a row, 2 ranked teams in that. One of us being a victim. Sad. I gotta take Tech this one.
I'm gonna say not so quick. The Big 12 is just so competitive, and that's a long trip up to Morgantown. I think the Mountaineers take advantage of their home court advantage. They stop the Tech winning streak right in Morgantown. Give me the Mountaineers in a close one.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tech. Like you said, they've had some pretty big wins recently. Normally, I choose the home team, but I think Tech is just going to really be able to play some really good basketball. They're really going to be able to minimize their turnovers. So give me Tech in this one.
Can Rick Barnes keep rolling? His Tennessee Volunteers travel to Kentucky tomorrow at noon. Manny, what do you think?
Yeah, give me Tennessee. Like I said, they are traveling, but they are a ranked team. They know what it's like to have some really tough losses. I think they have that bitter taste in their mouth. They really hate it. Obviously, they knocked off Alabama, so that was a really huge win for them. Really was able to lift up their confidence. So I think they come into Kentucky and they win this one.
That was a huge win against Bama. I thought they may be a little bit rattled after those losses to Missouri and Vandy. They've looked like they bounced back, and Kentucky's down this year. They're real down. Yep. Give me the Volunteers over John Cal's Wildcats. What do you think, Michael?
I got another Queen sweep. Kentucky's had a very up and down year, might be even a rebound type of year. And Tennessee, top 10 team. Coming in on the road, tough losses on buzzer beaters. I think they got to come and take this one.
Interesting one here. Ranked game in the Big 12. Number 19, Iowa State traveling to take on the number 12 Kansas State Wildcats. Michael, who's your pick in that game?
Like I've said all year, and to myself personally, Iowa State's a home team. They play great at home. They struggle on the road. K-State's had a couple bad losses, tough losses. Big 12's a tough conference. Give me Kansas State.
I think that's a great pick. I think Jerome Tang's bunch, they're bouncing back at home. The Kansas State fans have been packing the home court up in Manhattan. I think they do it to win. And like you said, I think the Cyclones away from Ames just aren't the same. Give me the Wildcats in that one.
Yeah, I'm going to help y'all complete the sweep. I'm going to go Kansas State as well. Like we talked about, like we said, Iowa State is a home team, and Kansas State, I think, is really going to be able to take advantage of that, and just end up playing their brand of basketball instead of trying to play catch up.
A lot of Big 12 action here. Oklahoma State traveling to take on number 22 TCU. Manny, who's your pick in that one?
Yeah, give me TCU. They're at home, ranked. Like we said, they've been kind of iffy here and there, but against Oklahoma State, Oklahoma State is 6th currently in the Big 12. They actually have a better record than TCU in conference play, but I'm still going to say give me TCU in this one.
Man, I think this is going to be a heck of a game. Oklahoma State actually beat TCU up in Stillwater. And I'm going to say they're going to do it again. I'm going to go for the upside. I think that the stingy Cowboy defense gets it done because they went up to Ames and won last week as well. So I think they go down to Fort Worth and win it against a TCU team that's been flailing a little bit as of late. Michael, what do you think?
I think I have to go with the upset too. TCU is, I think, I've dropped 4 in a row. They're really struggling right now. The Big 12 is a tough conference to play in. Oklahoma State is hot. They played well on the road all year. I got to take Oklahoma State.
Marquee matchup here. Number 9, Baylor at number 5, Kansas. Michael, who do you think?
That's a tough one. These two teams are tied first in the Big 12. But I got to take the home team. I got to take Kansas.
Great pick. I think it's tough to go up and win at Allen Fieldhouse, especially with the way Grady Dick's been playing. Big game against the Horns up there. I think he has another big game tomorrow and wills Kansas to a tie victory. That's going to be a heck of a ball game up in Lawrence.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to not complete the sweep. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to take Baylor in this one. They look primed and ready to make another deep run in the tournament. I think that just translates to better conference play here. They know what this game means, especially in terms of winning the Big 12 just outright. So I think that they come in with just they really have a fire under them, and they take this win on the upset.
Well, interesting. We're going to move over to the NBA. We got an interesting dunk contest lineup. We've got KJ Martin from the Rockets, Jericho Sims from the Longhorn. We got Mac McClung, who's on a two-way contract. I don't think he's even played some minutes in the NBA based on what I was being told. And we got Trey Murphy for the Pelicans. So nothing to get you really off your couch. So who are y'all taking in the dunk contest? Manny, let's start with you.
I honestly, I don't know the names like as we're talking about. I think there was a lot of better people you could have named for this. But go ahead and give me KJ Martin. I'm going to take KJ Martin in this one. I've seen a few of his highlights. He definitely has the hops. He definitely has the explosiveness. Give me KJ Martin in this one.
Trey Murphy was a Rice Owl. Rice Owl and transferred to Virginia. But, yeah, I think that's a great pick. I'm going to go KJ Martin, I think, just with the athleticism. I do want to see how Jericho Sims. I think he's a very athletic big man. But I think it's tough for big men to win the dunk contest. Haven't seen that in a little while. So I think he'll have some impressive dunks. But I think KJ Martin takes home the prize. Michael?
Jericho Sims is a very athletic big man, but I don't think he has dunks in his bag like that. I think he gets up, but he's not a guy that can be flashy. Now, on the other end, I'm looking at Mac McClung. I think we've all watched him since high school. That man has hops. That man has skill. Give me Mac McClung.
Former Red Raider. So I think he made his name known to the Big 12. Now, let's go to the All-Star game. Fun fact, the teams haven't been picked yet. We only know the captain. So going straight off the captains, who do we think's taking it? Is Giannis or LeBron? Who's going to be the better GM and take home the All-Star game? Michael?
Come on, he got the GM for a reason. I think he's ever since they've started this captain thing. I think a few years ago, he's won every single time.
Yeah.
I remember Giannis saying on Twitter that all he wanted to do was beat LeBron this year, but I don't think he can do it. LeBron's just too good of a picker. I got LeBron.
Nah, he's gonna do it. I'm gonna take Giannis. I'm gonna take the Greek freak. So LeBron, he's recruited a lot of the Lakers, and they haven't been doing too hot this year. So we'll take Giannis in the Bucks.
I'm gonna go LeBron. Like we said, the GM, he's been able to do it. I think he's in Giannis's head, to be completely honest with you. Giannis is 0-3 against LeBron in the All-Star game. I think LeBron's gonna bust out the clipboard again, and he's gonna get the win on this weekend.
Women's basketball, West Virginia at Texas. Manny, who do you got on Sunday?
Yeah, this Texas women's basketball team has been playing some really, really good basketball. They've had a couple tough losses, but obviously I think Coach Vic Schaefer is one of the best basketball coaches right now in college basketball. So I'm going to take Texas in this one, especially because of the home team. Moody has been getting more packed out for both men's and women's basketball games. So I think that the home fan base is just going to come out again. I'm going to take Texas in this one.
Yeah, they won by 13 up in Morgantown a couple weeks ago. They had a poor shooting performance against Iowa State. I think they've got a fire lit under them. I think they're in bounce back with a big win at home on Sunday. Michael?
I got to complete the sweep. I think the same thing. They were before that loss in Ames. They were on a 7-game win streak. This team's hot. I think they're still leading the Big 12. I'm pretty sure. They're a home team as well. I got to take the Horns.
Another team, a Texas team looking to bounce back is the men's team. They lost up in Lubbock. Can they bounce back at home against the Oklahoma Sooners? Michael, what do you think?
I got to say yes. Oklahoma's a good team, but Texas at home this year has been very good. We got to have a home court advantage with Moody finally. I got to take Texas.
I think that's a great pick. I think it may be closer than people think. Oklahoma is not a bad squad. They blew out Alabama a couple of weeks ago. But like you said, Michael, I think that home court advantage. Remember, the Horns only won by, I think, 4 or 3 up in Norman. I think it's another narrow victory, but they take care of business at home and get it done. Manny, bring us home.
Let's complete the sweep, baby. Let's go the Horns. Give me Texas in this one. Like Michael has mentioned, I mean, the Moody Center has completely transformed the way Texas sees basketball and plays basketball. It's a completely different atmosphere from the Drum. The Drum fans felt kind of like separated from the game almost. Now you're right on top of the court. I think that, again, Texas has been having a great season right now, and again, like we've talked about, all these teams who've had tough losses. Now they have this fire lit under them. I think Coach Terry's going to be able to really rally his guys, and I think they win this one, especially because Red River rivalry. It's always going to be a good time. So if you are in Austin, Moody is the place to be on Saturday.
They need this one too in that Big 12 title race.
Yes,
it's going to be tight, coming down to the wire. Well, guys, Fantastic work this morning. This was a lot of fun. Same time next week?
Same time next week. Let's do it.
Let's go. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the 1-0 Sports Show this morning. Big shout out to CeCe Rodriguez, who's keeping us in line backstage, and Samantha Pearl, who's running everything over at Master Control. Big thanks to Katie Borchetta for coming on and breaking down some Texas softball with us. Michael, thank you for joining the panel. Great 1-0 debut. And remember, catch him on Wednesday night, 9 o'clock Crossfire. Will he defend his championship? Also catch Press Box coming out on Tuesday night. They'll be recapping those two big Texas basketball games we just talked about. But for Manny Ramirez, I'm Adam Ogburn. Have a great weekend. Watch some Texas basketball and softball, and we'll see you here next Friday morning.